So last night Capcom made a post on Facebook asking what would we like to see in a Resident Evil 2 remake if they were to pursue one. Now this being said, before I want to get into this, yes, it's kind of self-explanatory that we should hold Capcom accountable and we should be very skeptical as to what they would do with said remake. Also, before I get on to the topic on hand, it took them 17 years to just slightly acknowledge the demand for it, and I say slightly due to the fact that they didn't actually go through with it. They're just making comments on Facebook. They're not really doing anything. Anyways, let's move on to the topic on hand. Now, as far as them pursuing a remake, I think what they really need to do is look at Resident Evil Remake and take a lot of the mechanics from that. So, like the Crimson Heads, the defensive items, the canteen and lighter mechanic to prevent Crimson Heads from happening, things of that nature. Also, quick turn should be a thing, since that's been a thing since the third game. So, that's kind of a standard now. That's to be expected. And, if we're talking about a remake, well, I personally would prefer fixed camera angles for a Resident Evil 2 remake. I think what they should do is look at Lost in Nightmares and give players the option for both the third-person camera angle and the fixed camera angles. Now, for things that they can bring back or improve on in Resident Evil 2, definitely the weapon parts that you can find with Leon or Claire. Do more of that, expand on it maybe. On top of that, what they could do is a cause and effect thing that they were doing in Resident Evil 2 that they didn't really expand on, where and this was the only scenario where it happened, where you would take a side pack or a submachine gun, or you could take both, but that you have to keep in mind that that affects the B story. And I think that would be really great if they were to do more stuff like that, where they give you the items that would help the player out, but they could also affect the other player if you don't leave a certain thing behind. This isn't really a gripe or anything like that, but I can see them potentially turning Fourth Survivor into a side story rather than just it being, oh hey, get from point A to point B as Hunk because you just stopped being unconscious. So yeah, just don't make it as long as the main story, but definitely have something there for players to go through. Maybe almost do it kind of like a separate ways thing, except for it won't be mission based, or at least I hope it's not mission based, because that would just be absolutely awful. Now, just to bring up two other Capcom games that they can take mechanics from and put them into a Resident Evil 2 remake, Dino Crisis and Resident Evil 3. Now, starting off with Dino Crisis, I think they can take in the bleeding mechanic from that game and implement that into a Resident Evil 2 remake. So that way, it feels fresh, to see something like that in Resident Evil 2. Not only that, but you can have various different monsters, like lickers and hunters and whatnot, go through the next door and pretty much pursue Leon or Claire if they're bleeding out and not if the player's not necessarily treating their wounds. So I think that would be a really good mechanic to have in there. And from Resident Evil 3, the gunpowder mechanic, I feel like that is a must. Honestly, don't understand why they didn't carry that over into any other Resident Evil game. The fact that you can craft different ammo types, and why wouldn't you want that in a Resident Evil 2 remake? That just sounds like it would work perfectly. Of course, they can expand on it and make it better. Maybe they can include new ammo types that weren't seen in Resident Evil 3. Now, that's just mechanic wise. As far as story goes, I hope that it stays intact for the most part. Maybe get a few subtle changes like Resident Evil Remake did with that story, or even add in new scenarios that weren't in the original. I think that would be really great. Now, as far as the layout of all the environments, like the streets of Raccoon City, the police station, the sewers, I think what they could do is just do some minor changes, add in some new rooms or locations, kind of like Resident Evil Remake did with that, where parts of the mansion were redesigned, new parts were added, various things like that. So I think that would ultimately work, and it would make the experience feel fresh, and it wouldn't make it feel like we're playing the same game back on PS1. Resident Evil Remake has Resident Evil.net support, but there's really no use for it. I'm assuming this is going to be the same case with Resident Evil 0 HD Remastered. That's going to be getting support as well. I don't know what they're gonna what they plan on doing with it. And this is the same case with Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster. I hope that a Resident Evil 2 remake, if it does have support from that, includes EX color costumes and actual alternate costumes, maybe like, I don't know, like a Dante skin or a Ryu from Street Fighter skin or something like that, you know, rather than just be like, oh hey, get a bunch of points, get a wallpaper, get guns for raid mode, which you can unlock. Just saying. Anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. Hopefully we can have like some kind of discussion in the comment section down below, or via Twitter or Google Plus, wherever, you know, but it doesn't matter to me. But, you know, just wanted to throw that discussion out there. Do you really think that Capcom's going to go through with this? Or, you know, if they do go through with it, how do you think they'll do this? In a sense, like, are they going to do it more like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6? Or are they going to do it more like Resident Evil Remake and potentially Revelations 2? Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. If you don't already, you can follow me on Google+, Twitter, and on Twitch. And I'll see you all in the next video.